No breaks for the deep-voiced Cowboy, who is 80 years old. He never slowed down. His best years were after he turned 70. He won his first big award when he was 78. But some pain is hidden behind that progress. His dad died because he thought he would fail. His daughter hit his wife very hard. His home life fell apart. Even though he fixed his family years later, these wounds still bother him. The man who played tough guys on TV and in movies had the hardest times at home, where no script could help him. He was born in Sacramento, California, on August 9, 1944. His family had deep roots in Texas. Glynn, his mother, used to be a state champion diver, and is now a teacher. Henry was his father, and he worked for the federal government, following scary animals. They weren't Hollywood types. They were tough, liked being outside, and were proud of it. As a child, Sam lived in the Hollywood Park neighborhood. In the garden, his dad had a greenhouse where he kept begonias. They went to the state fair all the time. Sam sang in the church choir before he knew what the words meant. In the 1950s, Sam had the kind of childhood that most boys could only dream of. On his bike, he would ride from William Land Park to the Sacramento River, getting into small but harmless trouble along the way. He would then race home as the sun went down. Because of his dad's job, he went on trips deep into the Sierra Nevada. In places like Wentworth Springs and the Rubicon River, they would fish in cold mountain streams and walk on rough paths. Sam felt like he had a link to the wild through these trips. It wasn't just fun, it changed him. That link became the heart of the heroes he played on TV and in movies. But when Sam turned 13, everything changed. The family had to move to Portland, Oregon, because his dad got a new job. Sam didn't want to leave. He lived in Sacramento his whole life. Even as he tried to get used to a new place, he kept his love of going outside with him. Sam's life took another big turn around the age of 9. He and his sister had been watching movies on Saturday afternoons, westerns, sci-fi and old serials. He said it out loud one day. He wished to become an actress. It didn't go over well with his dad. He thought it was silly to act. A dream come true. He told Sam, "You have nearly no chance at all." That statement got around. It made a quiet war between them for years, but Sam didn't stop playing. He did more school plays. He played Big Jewel in Guys and Dolls at Clark College when he was in high school. A local daily wrote that he did so well that he should become a professional athlete. That one line made him very angry. He was going to try even though he knew he had no hope. Then the terrible thing happened. Sam's dad had a heart attack and died in 1962, not long after leaving high school. They never got along. His dad never saw him do well. That hurt didn't go away. Sam said, "Talking about it kills me." But it didn't break him, it pushed him. He quit college right after the funeral. He didn't get lost. He paid more attention. The worries his father had became fuel. He thought of that line about the snowball every time someone said no. Sam signed up for the California Air National Guard in 1966. He worked as a loadmaster, which meant he had to make sure that military ships' cargo was balanced. The work was hard and stressful. He did his time for 6 years. He was in charge of airplane operations during the day. He took acting lessons at night. It was possible for him to work 12 hours and still work out. That mix of discipline and hunger made him who he was. He had never been in battle, and that bothered him. Afterward he said he felt bad. The shame he felt gave his wartime parts more depth, especially in We Were Soldiers. Sam got to Los Angeles by 1967. He slept in his car with $100. In his first year, 87 people turned him down. Agents didn't know what to do with a guy who was 6 feet 2 inches tall and sounded like a country preacher. Building jobs paid $1.25 an hour, and he wore boots with dust on them to tryouts. As an extra in Way West, his first movie job paid $50. Only one day on set, not any lines. But things turned out well for him in 1968. He had 3 lines on a courtroom show called Judd for the Defense, directed by Leo Penn. 3 lines. That was all it took. They changed the scene so that his voice would stay in it. His baritone voice, which used to stop him, started to let people in. After a few years, it would be covered for $1 million. He didn't get rich from those early jobs. He only made $3,800 in 1968, which is about $33,000 today. But he was making a name for himself. Directors began to notice how he looked, sounded, and was around them. His boss told him to put on 15 pounds of strength on the way west. Sam got up at 5 a.m. every day and lift weights. He even dropped his voice by 12 hertz to get the part on Gunsmoke. Records from that time say he was John Wayne's ghost and living testosterone. He still ran into trouble even back then. One director once made fun of his time in the military by calling it playing soldier. That almost made him give up, but it also made him more determined. For him it wasn't just playing, it was a way of life. He swore he'd never play a soldier or cowboy without giving it his all. It's hard to believe that Catherine Ross, who would become Sam Elliott's wife, was in the same movie with him without ever meeting. In the first scene of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969, Elliott played a card player who didn't have a name. He was just watching Robert Redford shoot some targets. Ross, on the other hand, had one of the lead parts. They were in the same play, and may have even been close to the same set, but they never met. They didn't meet in real life until 1978. In almost 10 years they worked together in the scary movie Legacy, which was shot in London. Early on in his work, Sam Elliott didn't do what most people would think. He wasn't always the mustachioed cowboy. He even played the lead in his first movie, which was a scary one about frogs. It came out in 1972 and was called Frogs. Elliott played a wildlife photographer who gets stuck on an island where nature starts to attack people. On March 23, the movie came out in Florida. In its first 17 days, it made $458,392 from just 38 screens. For a low-budget eco-horror, it's pretty good. The critics were mean. Metacritic gives it a score of 51%, while Rotten Tomatoes gives it a score of 26%. But Elliott stood out. One review joked that the frogs didn't really kill anyone, but they still said nice things about Elliott's acting. The film never went away, which was strange. It was shown on Svengoolie on May TV as late as 2022. It was a surprisingly good start for a movie about killer nature, but Elliott didn't become famous right away. One TV show at a time, he slowly moved up. He got a part on Judd for the Defense in 1969, the same year he was an extra in Butch Cassidy. After that, he played many roles on a series of Western TV shows, Lancer for example. Because of that he got a regular part as Doug Robert on Mission Impossible from 1970 to 1971. In 1972, he was in Gunsmoke and did beer ads for Falstaff as a cowboy. Over time, he stopped being seen as a star and was seen as someone who belonged on TV. In 1975, his big break on TV came with the historical film I Will Fight No More Forever, which was about the Nez Perce tribe. That performance helped him get the lead part in Once an Eagle the next year, where he worked with Amy Irving and Melanie Griffith. His picture began to take shape piece by piece. That wasn't all that was wrong. The way Elliott looked made him stand out. He was tall and skinny, and his face looked like it belonged on the wild border. He was 6 feet 2 inches tall, skinny but strong, and looked like a classic cowboy right away. Agents of casting took notice. His big beard made him stand out, but people knew he looked the part even before that. His deep, slow, and smooth voice was another secret tool. It made every part he played feel important. Elliott wasn't just an actor by the middle of the 1970s. He was a type of person who lived in the old American West. Then Lifeguard came out in 1976. This was the part that really made people know him. He played Rick Carlson, a beach lifeguard, who was 32 years old and didn't want to switch to a more important job. The movie made $5.4 million at the box office. Even though it only cost $900,000, it was a big win. Elliott's real-life experience made the part feel even more like him. The two of them had both been lifeguards. His acting had more truth to it after that. The movie didn't come out until the following year because Paramount put it off. During that time, Elliott turned down all TV offers because he was waiting for Lifeguard to make him famous in movies. The movie wasn't what critics thought it would be, a beach party movie. He played a calm, thoughtful figure over and over again in Roadhouse and The Big Lebowski. Around this time, Catherine Ross came back into his life by chance. They had major roles in The Legacy as romantic stars. The relationship from sparks turned into a real one. It was 34 years ago that Ross and Elliott met. Ross was still married at the time. He once joked that she was chasing the film's photographer while he was just a shadow on the wall on the set of Butch Cassidy. Things were different now though. Ross and her husband split up in 1979, after The Legacy wrap. After 5 years she married Elliott, and they had a daughter named Cleo Rose. This marriage lasted longer than her 4 other ones, which all ended in less than 5 years. It's still going strong after more than 40 years. As the 1980s began, fully accepted the Western world on TV, he worked with Tom Selleck on the 1979 miniseries, The Sacketts, which was based on a book by Louis L'Amour. Elliott played Tel Sackett, the middle brother of 3, who were all looking for a new start after the Civil War. Fans of the genre loved it, and it was shot in Colorado, Arizona, and California. Elliott and Selleck worked together again in 1982 on The Shadow Riders, another movie based on a L'Amour book. Elliott played Dal Travin this time, a former Confederate soldier whose family has been taken and he needs to save them. Ross also had a part, and it was the first time she and Elliott had worked together since they fell in love. These westerns helped Elliott become more like the cowboy he used to fight against. Having strong ties to Texas, he even had a family member who fought at the Alamo. It looked like it would work well. Then in 1983, The Yellow Rose came out. Elliott played Chance Mackenzie, the rich rancher's child who wasn't his real son. On a big stage, it was a brave part. At first, the show did very well. 16.1 million people watched the first episode, but that number dropped quickly. In the end it got the 90th spot. NBC ended the show after only 22 episodes. It left a mark though. The theme song, which Johnny Lee and Lane Brody sang, went to #1 on Billboard's country list. The show was so popular that NBC played the whole thing again in 1990. Elliott thought the part was a great reminder of how strong he was on screen. People remembered him even if the show ended. Sam Elliott was not meant to try out for Mask. Early in 1985, he was in Hawaii, fresh off of his honeymoon with Catherine Ross. He said no when asked to test for the movie. He looked forward to the break. Ross had other ideas though. Behind his back she called his agent and said, "I'll get him there." Everything changed with that one move. He flew back, did the screen test, and was cast as Gar, a biker with a soft heart. He was the faithful boyfriend of Cher's character and the father figure to a teenage girl who had scars. It wasn't a fighter or a cowboy, it was more than that. Some people paid attention. The Mask showed that Elliott could show pain and love without becoming soft. It was the start of a new part of his work. In his personal life the same thing was happening. Kate Ross and Sam got married on May 1, 1984. It was her 5th marriage. It was his first. They briefly met on the set of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969. They met again while making The Legacy, 9 years later, and this time it stuck. Their daughter Cleo was born not long after they got married, September 17, 1984. So by the time Mask came out, was taking care of babies and acting in movies. The man who had made a name for himself by being tough was learning how to take care of a family. They've been married for more than 40 years now. Elliott's simple answer when asked what the trick was you work past the crap, you don't walk away from it. His job changed in a new way in the late 1980s. He did a lot of action movies from 1987 to 1989. Fatal Beauty was the first movie he was in. It starred Whoopi Goldberg. It was rough, quick, and showed that Elliott could write crime stories. Next, in 1988, he played a drug cop in the tense movie Shakedown, which also starred Peter Weller. Roger Ebert said Elliott was strong, blunt, and persuasive. The movie made $10.1 million, but only made $6 million. $1 million. Not a huge hit, but enough to keep things going. After that, Roadhouse came out in 1989. It was angry, loud, and full of attitude. The star was Patrick Swayze, but Elliott held his own. It made $61.6 million around the world, even though it only cost $15 million to make. He became a folk hero because of his long hair, deep voice, and don't mess with me attitude. Elliott went back to TV in the early 1990s, but this time he was going for awards. He co-wrote and acted in the Western Kaniger in 1991, which was based on a book by Louis L'Amour. It wasn't just another Western tale. He helped write the story, produced the movie, and starred with his wife. That investment in yourself paid off. He was nominated for a Golden Globe, and the movie got a Bronze Wrangler Award for telling a true Western story. After 4 years, in 1995, he played the crazy Wild Bill Hickok in Buffalo Girls. It was a great group, with Stack, Angelica Houston, and Melanie Griffith. Elliott really lived up to his part. 11 Emmys were given to the movie, and Elliott got his first mention for Outstanding Supporting Act. He had shown that he could carry a story on both big and small screens. Then he did something strange in 1998. He walked into a movie with bowling lanes, rugs, and strange dreams. There were no cowboys in The Big Lebowski, but Elliott played a strange person. He talked about the movie in a calm, thoughtful way that set the scene for the chaos going on around him. People remembered everything he said, even though he was only on screen for a short time. There's a man sometimes. He's the right person for the job and the time. That line became well known. The Coen brothers were very smart about what they were doing. To Elliott, they gave him a magical edge. A mix of an angel, a bartender, and a ghost. Younger people who had never seen Tombstone or Kaniger knew right away who he was. In the 2000s, his speech was his most powerful tool. Elliott began writing ads that would reach millions of people. His writing was deep and clearly American. He became the voice of Smokey Bear in 2008. It was a good fit since they both turned 30 on the same day, the 9th of August 1944. He also took over the Beef, It's What's for Dinner ads after Robert Mitchum left. Next, Coors hired him, then there were Ram trucks. His voice was no longer just a job for him. It turned into a brand. Don't back down. Even kids knew him from cartoon movies like Barnyard, where he sang and played Ben the Cow. People would remember him even if they never saw him. He wasn't done riding off into the sunset though. The High-Low Country, which came out in 1998, was his return to the Western genre. He played J. Ed Love, a strong rancher who stood for the end of small-town country life. He wasn't bad, he was just a part of a world that was changing. After that, he became a hero again in 1999. You Know My Name told the true story of famous police officer Bill Tillman. Worked on and acted in it. He was back on the dusty roads and in spiritual battles, but this time with more weight, soul, and power than ever before. Elliott left the West for a short time in 2000. For April 9th, he was in Fail Safe, a live black-and-white TV show about the Cold War that starred George Clooney. It was a big deal that Harvey Keitel and Walter Cronkite opened the show. Elliott played Raskob in Congress. That was a very important, serious, and tense event. In the same year, he was in The Contender, a movie about the first woman to be nominated for vice president in the United States. It was sharp, fierce, and full of deals made behind closed doors. Elliott had a small part in the story, but it felt real because of it. Politics are very different in these two stories. One strong word. This guy was good at more than just cowboy roles. Sam Elliott was already well known in westerns, but in 2003 something strange happened. He got his start in superhero movies with Hulk, where he played General Thunderbolt Ross. It wasn't just any part. He looked down at Bruce Banner with cold, controlled anger. He was a 4-star general who was pulled between job and family. Sam didn't even read the plot. It was his dream to work with Ang Lee, so he said yes. He believed in the project that much. His voice, which was rough and deep like dirt, was perfect for the part. In one scene he tells Bruce, "I'm the one who threw away your father and I'll do the same thing to you." That line wasn't pure speech. It was a message. In 2007, 4 years later, he went back to the world of comic books. It was in Ghost Rider that he played the Guardian, a mystery cowboy who led Nicolas Cage's character. Elliott brought peace, power, and that voice again. People who had only seen him in westerns with a lot of dust loved seeing him ride through hell on fire. Then 2009 came along. Elliott had a small role in Up in the Air, which stars George Clooney. He was a pilot named Maynard Finch. There was only one scene, but it was in a movie that made $166.8 million and was nominated for 6 Oscars. But Elliott made a mistake that same year. Have you heard about the Morgans? Hugh Grant, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Sam Elliott as a supportive cowboy husband made the script look good. But the time couldn't have been more wrong. Avatar and this movie came out at the same time. It only made $6.6 million in its first weekend, and it took a long time to make $85.2 million around the world. It took $58 million to make the movie. Americans didn't pay attention to it. Most of the money came from outside of the United States. Only $29.5 million came from here. It was a huge failure. Elliott was 71 years old in 2015, but he didn't slow down. Instead, he put on 2 great shows. I'll See You in My Dreams was the first one. He played Bill, a widower who takes Blythe Danner's character sailing and makes her feel young again. It was soft, quiet, and very human. So what was the name of the boat, which said it all about how the character felt about getting older? Some people had never seen another side of Elliott before he did this. Romantic and weak, and full of hope. In late that same year, Elliott did voice work for a dinosaur. He played Butch, a T-Rex with the pride of a cowboy, in Pixar's The Good Dinosaur. Kids didn't know him from Tombstone or Roadhouse, but they knew that sound. Elliott said in comments that the movie made him think of old westerns. He said that the setting was just as important as the people. That's what fit the part. He was able to bring the wild border back to life even in animated movies. Then came 2017 and a part that seemed like it was written just for him. In his story, the hero talked about Lee Hayden, a famous Western actor who now does voiceovers for BBQ sauce. He wants to fix his life before it's too late, even though he has cancer and is about to die. Brett Haley, who directed the movie, said that he wrote it for Elliott. It felt like it was all about them. Like many people thought Sam might be, Lee was stuck in the shadow of his old fame. Elliott, on the other hand, said that Lee was a bad person who messed up his own life. That wasn't Sam. Sam Elliott had to wait a long time for his chance. He finally got his first Oscar nod in 2018, when he was 74 years old. It was because of his part as Bobby Maine in A Star is Born. He was Bradley Cooper's character's bigger brother and boss. His voice was calm and deep. He was the same as always, but this time he showed pain. They loved how real he seemed. Bradley Cooper didn't play that part for fun either. He worked out for 4 months just to sound like Sam Elliott. It was that important to him that their relationship seemed real. It worked. Every scene between them was important, but the fight scenes were the most important. It wasn't just the fight. There was a lot of quiet mistakes and sorrow in that song. Crash at the same time. Those short, quiet parts of the movie made it memorable. Elliott didn't need many scenes, but he didn't have any, and he was up for almost every big performance award that year. He won the National Board of Review Award. After 3 years, when he was 77, he went back to the part that people had always imagined for him. He played the lead role in the Western 1883, which was about a dangerous trip across the American wilderness. Shay Brennan was played by Sam, someone who had just lost his wife and daughter to smallpox. He burned their bodies himself in the first scene. He also wanted to die, but he had one more job to do. Take a group to Montana before it gets too spoiled for good. His eyes showed that he was hurt. His voice was just shaky enough to make your heart hurt. This job took him back to the type of work that got him his start, but this time it was more in-depth. He wasn't just the cowboy anymore. He was what the story was all about. Then there was the night of February 26, 2023. A Screen Actors Guild Award was held by Sam Elliott on stage. For him it was the most important time of his career. He was 78 years old, and had been in Hollywood for 55 years. He got the part over Steve Carell, Evan Peters and Taron Egerton, but he didn't brag about it. He even said that after seeing the other acts, he wasn't sure if he got it. That's exactly how Sam is incredibly humble. He also remembered the cast. He told them, "This is for all of you." He is now the second oldest man to win that award, which shows that his best work wasn't done when he was young. It came after many years of living experience. Sam Elliott is still going strong at age 80. He joined the cast of another Taylor Sheridan show, Landman, in 2025. He's working with Billy Bob Thornton again, just like in Tombstone in 1883. Some people think he might come back to the Roadhouse series in Amazon's upcoming follow-up. He also still does voice work for things like Family Guy and Ram truck ads. He did election ads in 2024 and is Smokey Bear's voice actor. One line stood out: "Now is the time to vote for a woman as a man." That shows how important he is still. Gravel has a sharp voice and is always in the game. But Sam Elliott's life hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. Something scary happened at home on March 2, 2011. Cleo Rose Elliott, his daughter, hit her mother Catherine Ross. It began with a fight. Cleo then told her mom, "I'm going to kill you." She broke a cabinet with her foot, used tools to cut the phone line, and hit Ross 6 times in the arm. Ross was 71 years old at the time. She went to court by herself and got an order to keep her daughter away because she had been violent since she was 12 years old. For weeks Cleo couldn't be more than 100 yards away from her. For her to get anything from the house, the police had to be there. Cleo had always wished she could play music. As a child she played the flute and guitar, but she really wanted to sing. Things were different after what happened. Once 2011 was over, she was rarely seen in public. Her singing career came to an end. She didn't say anything for years because of the story, but every once in a while, she seemed to be getting better. In June 2023, she shared a rare picture on Instagram of herself having a normal day. It wasn't much, but it felt like a peace step. 2018 was the year that showed the most improvement. When A Star Is Born first came out, Cleo went with her folks. They stood there and smiled. It said more than any news statement could have. She shared another picture on Christmas Day 2022. This time she was doing a game with her mother. Something easy, quiet, and important was going on. In early 2024, when Ross turned 83, people noticed that the space between them seemed to have gone away. They had found a way to move forward, no matter what happened behind closed doors. Kate Ross and Sam Elliott never broke up. Even after all of this, they got married in 1984, 41 years. Anyone would never do that, but Hollywood stars almost never do it. They met while making The Legacy in London. Ross's first movie, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, had Elliott in it, but they never met while they were filming it. It was her 5th marriage when they got married, but it was his first. After only 4 months, their daughter was born. The call came while they were on their honeymoon in Hawaii, right after getting married. He was able to try out for Mask with Cher. Ross had to fly back, so he cut short his vacation. His life changed because of that part. Even when things were hard, she was always there for him. Elliott told the interviewer their secret in 2015. "You get past the crap. You don't just leave it.